Hey viewers, how you doing today? This is Brian JT Watts here with Come Together once again, and today I will be talking to Donald Rolle. I think you're going to want to hear this very good young man who I've known for a lot of years, watched him mature, and he's a pretty good guy now, man. He does his thing. He was always a good guy, but I mean, I like what he's become, and we're going to get into some good conversation today. So come back after the intro and listen as I speak to Donald Rolle.
This is the greatest game of telephone that has ever been played. Someone said the black man doesn't raise his kids or care for his family, and that message is still being told to everyone today. They even have us saying,
We are not a monolith. We have various opinions and thoughts. We are much more than what we are portrayed to be by the media.
even when we are the victims of injustice, we are still portrayed as the perpetrators. When it comes to the black man, there is an intentional plan to discredit the past, arrest the present, and destroy the future.
Something must be done, but nothing will work until we come together. Okay, viewers, we are here today with Mr. Donald Rolle. He is the spiritual director for a retirement community. I'm going to let him break that down because I'm sure that encompasses a lot. So, Donald, go ahead and tell the people exactly what you do.
Yeah, what's going on, Brian? I'm a spiritual director. I'm a chaplain, a clinical chaplain, and I work for a retirement community. So it has a whole continuum. Step down. So that's independent living for seniors, those who are retired and senior citizens, independent living apartment buildings. Also on the campus, we have all types of amenities, hair salons, cafeterias, restaurants, foods. Then we have step down, we have assisted living, we have rehab, we have nursing homes, and we have hospice. So literally we're the last stop shop, for humanity. You come to our campus and we'll take care of you from the time you get there until your last day.
Wow. Now, where exactly are you?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. And that sounds great. I mean, it's amazing that we've gotten to this age because when I was young, I never even heard of some of this stuff. I had no idea that these things existed. We heard about people going to homes, older people going to old folks' homes and things like that, but we didn't really know that it would be something we would probably be involved in our lives. I know that my aunt, who she passed away maybe 2 years ago at 99, but before that we had to, get her into some place, and that's when the education on all of this hit us. We had my sister and I didn't really have a lot of education on it, and not even to know that there are places like what you're talking about. We had to run around in the Bronx and try to find a spot at the last minute.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us get caught up, and that's how we get people into bad places because we're in a rush. Not educated. So I think that it's good for people like you to be out there to let people know. Listen, if you have an aging parent or relative to take care of, this is the time now while they're well to start.
Absolutely.
What you need to do. So how do you see that working in our community? Do you see a lot of our people getting into that, or do you see it not being the case?
That's the unfortunate thing, man. Really, I'm servicing, our white Americans,
right?
And what's really heartbreaking to me on a certain level is, some of the ladies working there as staff members are nearly almost as old as, some of the younger residents. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have have somebody's grandmother still cleaning for somebody else's grandmother.
Right.
In the same facility. One has paid $30,000 to be there, and one is getting paid $30,000 to work there.
Wow. And that seems to be our thing. It seems to be that the one is getting cared for by somebody who's exactly almost in the same position as them. right
Exactly.
after being there, and that's wild. I think that I've always said, and we've probably heard all the time, that education is the key. And I think people think that education means schooling, and it doesn't. It just means being educated about something, being known,
Right.
knowing it. I mean, being told. And I think that there's a lot that we haven't been exposed to. But I think that, and I want to ask you this question too, how you feel about this. I think there are a lot of things that we've sort of put off by saying Black people don't do this, or Black people don't do that. What would you say about that? I mean, I hear that a lot. I hear from comedians, I hear from people just everywhere that we don't do this and we don't do that. And they're usually things that we probably need to be doing.
Right. Well, that's an interesting question, man. I'm trying to think of how to answer that because I can go. But like, to me, the African American experience here it has disrupted the evolution of Black people in America. It has disturbed it. It has disturbed it for a little while. So I think to find out what we are or where we were, let's say, what is the disturbance? Okay. Right. Let's choose one. Black people don't like to swim.
Right.
We don't do that, right?
That's one of them. That's definitely one.
That's one of them, right? That's one.
I swim. I do, and I swim very well.
Right. And I'm a lifeguard, right? I got my license, so myth busted. But
right.
Look, but that's one of the misnomers. Now, let's say that it was in the psyche somehow, if this is true, that African Americans don't normally swim.
Right.
Maybe some generational trauma or something from the way, in the transatlantic, we got afraid of the water. I don't know. I'm making stuff up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at some point in time, this became our caricature, right? That they think that we're afraid of the water. Now, when you look at the entire history of us as a people, a race, right, then we have Black people who weren't afraid of water at all. You know what I'm saying? They traversed the globe and sailed different places and, so forth and so on. So I think that a lot of the things that we talk about that Black people don't do, I think we have to put a caveat or asterisk next to it, because we're dealing with the people who are in a precarious situation who have to relearn a lot of things, that we were separated from. Like surviving out in the wilderness.
Right.
Right. I mean, you were not given that opportunity to, you know what I'm saying? You were working, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying?
But the ones who escaped did survive in the wilderness. So,
true.
I mean.
So then we learned it, right?
Right. Without the tools, without the know-how, without the knowing the land, without any of that. I mean, Harriet Tubman wasn't playing. She went back and forth. So, I mean, obviously we can camp and we can do all of that stuff. It's amazing how many things just seem to become misnomers. And I really, now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, even though I'm going to sound like it after I say this. But but I really feel like these things have been fed to us, and then we spread it around like a bad game of telephone. Well, actually, like a good game of telephone, because it actually gets around and stays the same message. All of these things that we don't do, but there are so many things that we seem to have begun to do. I mean, we didn't play tennis.
Right.
Then, boom, Venus and Serena. We didn't play golf. Then there was Tiger Woods. You know what I'm saying? So many things that we didn't do that it was like, no, we're people, so we can do that as well. There's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing that anybody can't do. I mean, when I was young, my mom we used to listen to a lot of music together, me and my mom, and even, Christian music, secular music, whatever kind of music it was just, rock, old school, Motown stuff, all that stuff. And, so we had a bunch of records in the house. And of course, as a Black American family in the Bronx, we had the Motown Greatest Temptations, Marvin Gaye, all of that stuff. And
that good stuff.
I listened to a lot of Black music. And then I started to hear some white artists who really had some soul, and like Hall & Oates and stuff like that. And I was like, Mom, is it that this is Black music, or is it just that the Black people sing a certain way? And she said, no, I don't think so. She said, I think that, during the slavery time or right after, in the Jim Crow era, white people didn't want to sound like Black people. Like, you know, so that was something that was lesser. But as it became big entertainment and stuff, then white people who could do it were like, we're going to do that. It don't
Right.
You got to get out there. And so I started thinking about that. Like, well, then that means that we can do all the stuff they do as well, you know? And so it's weird that we still get these things, that we don't do this, we don't do that. I don't know how that translates for our young people, because I'm thinking that once they hear there's something that we don't do, that they just leave it alone. Because young people today, and me being an educator, I'm not going to put all young people in a boat, but it seems like it's easier for them to say, oh, well, they said we don't do that, so peace, I'm not doing that. I'm going with this, you know, and that's an issue. Now, your generation seems more to be like, oh, they said we don't do that. Oh, I'm about to do that.
We're about to do that, right?
And it was a reason for you to go and try it. The reason for you to jump at it. Even if there were rules and stuff in place, you're like, nah, we could do that.
We can do that.
And that's what happens. I mean, even you see the reverse. You see a great rapper like Eminem, who people hate to talk about when they know hip hop is a black music form, and this white gentleman has just done amazing work. You cannot deny him at all. I'm not going to say whether he is or is not the greatest, but he's great. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
he's great.
He's great. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say he's great. But
pause right there.
Yeah, he has surpassed a whole bunch of people, and he's hung in there. He's done his thing. People have emulated him, and they've been successful. And so I'm saying, you know, I think that we need to cross these lines where we say this is only for black people, or this is only for white people. It's for people who can do it.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. But I think that our problem is that we've been held back for so long that when we have something, we want that to be ours. What do you think about it?
I think it's true. I what I see with Black America happening now, and I get this little assessment from the internet, so you know it's not through wide research, anything like that. It's like it's through me looking, right, scrolling through social media. So you know, my quick little social media assessment of, you know, if I can judge Black America from my little view of social media, is that Black people are coming phase of wealth and opportunity and entrepreneurship. It feels a little bit like the like going west, the pioneers.
Okay.
For a certain amount of Black Americans in America right now, they're experiencing I think a lot of opportunities that seem commonplace that were not commonplace before.
Okay.
Case in point, if you look at TV now, there are hella Black commercials.
Right.
Interracial commercials.
Yes.
Featuring Black people in every regard. Cars, cigars, whiskey, every division, you know what I'm saying? And it seems as if America is trying to collectively change the image of some Black people.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Those with money, those who seem to be educated, they're like us or whatever. So we're ingratiating them, you know. So, you know, this branch of, you know, Black Americans, I think that they are stepping into a lot of the empty spaces that are available in these areas. We're skiing, you know, we're going to Aspen for our spring break this time. You know what I mean? We're getting fancy. You know, we're going to Dubai. You know, you lived in Dubai, didn't you?
Kuwait.
Yeah. My bad. Kuwait. See? You see, but you see, we're going to Kuwait now. You know what I mean? To be an educator. Yeah.
Right. That's true.
Who's on your resume? I'm just saying.
I mean, somebody from the Bronx, whoever would have thought. You know what I'm saying? Some kid from the Bronx is over there teaching math in Kuwait. That's a lot. You're right.
Sure. Right. You know, so I just think that there's a portion of us, and it's not a collective experience. I think, you know, to those of us who, you know, have a little bit of education and a little bit of ambition, you know, doors are opening up, but not collectively for us all. So, you know, like, you know, if you look at Nigeria, right? I think Nigeria is a good example of like affluent Black America.
Right.
Nigeria is blowing up. I mean, you know, all of that oil money and stuff like that. You know, you can see the development of their culture and their style and the industrial style, you know, and they resemble African Americans, you know, with what they do with their money and opportunities and stuff like that. So they get into oil, cryptocurrency, businesses, selling, you know, alcohol, this, that, you know, all types of ventures. We're getting into tech. You know, so there's like this sort of big boom amongst affluent, you know, Black Americans. You know, it's just such a wave, you know, now to, you know, have something extra, have a little business on the side, you know, to have a portfolio online, you know, it's just to have this sort of, you know, running identity digitally, you know, that succeeds. So, you know, it's fun to see. It's fun to see us break into, you know, some of these areas and stuff like that, just a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's you're definitely right about that. I mean, the funny thing about being in Kuwait was that when I went over there, and like you said, for those in the bubble of American life over here, that was big. And I went in 2018. But when I got there, the funniest thing is the week I got there, I met a guy who I hadn't seen since 1987 that was at Old Westbury with me. And I mean, we just ran into each other and I didn't even recognize him. And he was like, Brian, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I know. I came out to Kuwait and I seen this dude that I know. Like, this is crazy, you know? And then I realized there was Black Americans out there for years working.
Wow.
We don't know stuff. There's so many things that's being held from us. There were guys over there making $100,000 a year and plus with no taxation. They're getting free housing. They're getting cars. They're getting all stuff, and they're working jobs that maybe in America might pay $50,000 or $60,000 a year.
Wow.
So they're over there and doing things because they're like, look, I can provide for my family, or you know, I can do stuff. They're guys who left their family to go over there to work and come back and you know take care of their family or end up so doing all kind of things. So I'm saying to you, the things that we look at as being brand new sometimes have been going on forever, and the opportunities are there.
Right.
Have no idea because they're teachers. I met teachers who said, well, you know, when I graduated from school, I came out here. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You never taught in the United States? No. Like, oh, okay. And they go from contract to contract. So they're going from Kuwait to Qatar to Dubai to wherever, you know, just moving around and having a great life, making great money, working in countries where we're told that we wouldn't even be accepted.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of education. And like I said before, I don't mean schooling. I mean education that needs to be had by our people, because usually when we speak, especially people my age, if I speak to my parents, well, just my dad now, but my aunts and uncles or whoever else, and said I was going overseas, they'd be like, for what?
Right.
Because America is the place where everything is.
It's that's all there is.
Right, and that's what they were taught, and that's what we were taught. And so, you know, it's a lot. I remember when I went to Hawaii the first time, people said to me, oh, don't go to Hawaii, man. They don't like Black people over there. And I was like, that's part of the United States. You know that, right? And they're like, yeah, but they don't like Black people. I said, okay. And I went, and funny enough, I was there. Of course, there were a lot of the California style white girls there, you know, the slim, they're in the bathing suits on the beach and stuff.
Right.
I was paying attention to them. Me, I was maybe a little bigger than I am now, but my complexion was close to the complexion of the Hawaiian people. These people are in style in Hawaii.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so even though at the time I was married, whenever my ex-wife and I weren't together, people were like, oh, aloha. I was like, oh, where? What's up? What's up? Like, what's going on? But it was a love for people of color. But we had been told that wasn't true. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that we're being told things to keep us away from what would make a synthesis of connection and history and power. And we need to find a way to get away from that, because that's how you keep a nation down. You separate them.
You're right.
That's why I say I feel like we're being fed information, and we're the ones that keep the information going around. It's not true. It's just what we've been told. It's what we've been taught. And so I feel like we're living in a bubble. So, I mean, what are some of the things that you look at as far as American Blacks that you think, if I asked you the top 2 things that are holding us back as institutions or, you know, just frameworks, what would be those top 2 things that you say, if these things could be altered, Black people could sort of move ahead?
Wow, that's weighty. The top 2 things that are holding Black people back, institutions or
Framework, whatever, paradigm.
Framework. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go. All right. I'm gonna split them. I'm gonna say one may be. How can I put it? It's some amalgamation of American resistance.
Okay.
To some form of Black success. It can be education-wise, job-wise, redlining, politically, voting-wise. I mean, it has so many different heads. It's hard to choose one of them. We're gonna call it the resistance, right?
Okay.
There's some form of resistance that I think that most Black Americans come across that has been, instituted by whites, perpetuated by Blacks, however you wanna call it, right? And then the second thing I think is I'm big on belief systems.
Okay.
So I would say a portion of the way we express our faith, our Christian faith.
Okay.
The way that we've downloaded it, I think by and large, and the way that we emote, we express it, perpetuates a type of mentality that it does not make it easy for getting up. You know what I'm saying? It's comfort food.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's one of the terms right there. That is one of my terms. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's comfort food, right now. It's good food now.
Right.
But,
Well, let me break that down first for the viewers, because
Sure.
how I feel about comfort food, and I'm gonna see if you feel the same way. Viewers, when I say something is comfort food, and I'm not talking about food, when I use the analogy to belief system, comfort food, I'm talking about like as a food. So my comfort food of all comfort foods is macaroni and cheese.
I knew you was gonna say that.
And I make a mean so I don't even have to go to nobody's grandma. I can do it. I can do it myself.
Do it myself.
You know what I'm saying? Now, what makes comfort food a problem is that it does the job that needs to be done right away. So when I bake a macaroni and cheese and I cut into that thing, I don't care how I felt that day, I'm going to feel good. The carbohydrates, the cheese flavors, all the stuff is going to do whatever I need, and I'm going to smile after that is consumed. I'm going to take on. And that's what comfort food is supposed to do. It comforts you. It makes you feel better. It makes you forget your issues. But I guarantee you that in a few days and maybe even a few hours, that junk is going to be on my thighs. It's going to be on my arteries. You know what I'm saying? It's going to do damage, especially if I continue with it, because it's only meant to comfort for a little while, but it has lasting negative effects.
Yeah.
When I say, and I'm thinking you mean as well, that some of these things that we're given as pacifiers are comfort food because they make us feel good for the moment, but they have very bad lasting effects. So give me an example of something that's comfort food that you've been talking about that in these systems that
okay. I think, let's go with the idea of self-worth.
Okay.
Self-esteem, self-worth, self-validation, feeling good about oneself. You need that as a human being to function in society and to feel like you can, contribute to a society of your peers, right? You want to be able to read like they read, do math like they do math, and be capable like they're capable to survive and whatever, right? I think that Black people, of no fault of their own, we've been handed a doodle bag of experiences to deal with. And part of that is trying to restore, I think our sense of self-confidence and self-esteem in a holistic sense. I think that we're fierce, we're fiercely individual, we're powerful, we don't take no crap as a people. Like all of that's true. Like when it comes to defending ourselves, we'll knock you out, we're quick to fight. So, with that type of energy, it's hard to see that there may sometimes still be a level of lack of self-worth,
right?
And those, those core things, right? And I think because of slavery, oppression, the resistance,
right,
the historical resistance, it has put our demeanor, our spirits, our minds in a place where, you know, it shouldn't have been.
okay,
And that is subservient to another human being, to look for approval from grown adults as you are a full, capable, grown adult.
right.
I don't think that that's in the human psyche. I don't think that that's in the human, built for the human experience, right? In nature, you know, you see animals all the time. They're born as cubs, as calves, as whatever they're born as, you know what I'm saying? And then they are dependent. And then you see them come to independence, right? You see the separation of mother and, you know, older child or whatever it is, and they go on getting their own territory and starting their own stuff. It's a natural matriculation of life, of development of life forms.
Right.
So to be in slavery, I think, is a real clusterfuck, you know what I'm saying, for the human mind, for a group of people who are having relationships and passing whatever on that they have to pass on. You know, you pass on. Okay. Yeah. So now you bring in, so you take that as just natural. The most confident slave still had reason to still look at himself and feel like, wow, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Or at some point in time could imagine himself being caught, being brutalized, being hurt by somebody who can overpower him, you know, or, you know, or change his fate forever, even if he escaped or whatever the case, you know. So now you add in there what is supposed to be, I guess, a comfort food for that experience. Let's say faith. Okay. We're not gonna call all faiths comfort food, right? But you know, people usually in times of crisis, you know, turn to their faith, turn to their, you know, spiritual resources, whatever they have. They turn to Jesus, they turn to God, Allah, they turn to, you know, Brahman, whatever.
Right.
And so I think the African is in another precarious situation because the deity he turns to is a deity that is part and parcel putting the pain on them. It's hard, you know, these Africans are trying to identify this God slightly differently than how he's being handed to them. What resources are they using to do that? It's hard. We don't know. You know, they're using the Bible, reinterpretation, not many of them read. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of word of mouth, and, you know, and their God seems to be a God who accepts the suffering, who, you know, walks with the sufferer, but doesn't alleviate the suffering at all. Doesn't hold the victimizer accountable. You know, lets the powerful, particularly the powerful. He doesn't let sinners get away with sin. He lets the powerful sinners get away with their. Do you see what I'm saying? But them lowly little ones, oh, they gonna catch you. You know You're lying, you're a little cheating, you're a little stealing, you know, your dishonesty, you lied to your mama. You know, God's gonna come down with the anvil on your head. You know, so, you know, there's this God who is subjective in his judgments, who, I don't know, it's confusing, you know, to serve the same God, you know.
No doubt. I've often wondered that. I've often wondered, and I'm sure that the stories have not been given to us exactly how they happened, but I've often wondered how slaves took on Christianity, American Christianity, that is, knowing that the masters believed the same thing. You know, this is what the masters believe, or even what they're telling us to believe. And how does this God shine on them and on us at the same time when we are enslaved? You know what I'm saying? And we're being brutalized on 6 days a week, and then allowed to rest on this one day to go to church and this, then the other. And so that's it. Basically, I was hoping that that's where you would go, because that's sort of to me, that one time in church is more slavery than being in the field, because in the field the slaves were doing what they knew how to do, and the other people did not know. So the work they were doing, the only thing that was enslaving them was just the power.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we're putting you out here. Yeah, we're whipping you, but you're doing work that you know how to do. That's what these people were trained for. These were not unintelligent slaves. These were educated people who knew how to farm and how to do all this stuff. But in church, they were being pushed into something that they did not know.
Right.
You know, that's real slavery. You're being indoctrinated into a faith that says, yes, and these people that are over you deserve to be over you. And, you know, you just need to obey them and this and the other. And that's an issue. So, I mean, that's definitely, after years and years and years of that, I can see that being a problem. And I don't think a lot of our people would ever let go of the American Christian way of life because it's now tradition in a people who don't have many traditions.
You know, it becomes embarrassing when you do a little history and you recognize that it is a trend that whenever, especially, you know, old history, Roman times, Greek, you know, Babylonian, Assyrian, Sumerian, right? In those times, it was typical that when another group of people took over, if they had a different deity, then, you know, many times the conquered people accepted that deity.
Right.
Took on, you know what I'm saying? We believe that too. You know what I'm saying?
When in Rome, right? That's right.
Yeah, right. So, you know, so I don't think that we see ourselves as a pattern of that type of history.
Right. No, we don't.
It can't be us now. We ain't accept no Christianity of that. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. This is a sign of that submission. This is a sign of that a survival mechanism to give to your oppressor. I think what you think they want to at least reduce, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, and to show somehow your value and your worth. To try to be on par with them, to try to show that you're the same, it's a survival mechanism. You see what I'm saying?
An assimilation method, yeah, an assimilation.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, so this is what I've been confused about. Now, I've talked to, of course, you know, we both grew up in Christian denominations and went through the whole thing, Christian schools and all kind of stuff. What I'm confused about, and I think that this is what, and I mean, you know, our show is dedicated to showing the positivity of Black men and all of that. And I mean, but I feel like our whole community definitely needs healing. But I'm wondering why in the Bible, the heroes of the Bible are not members of churches. They're people who took God on their own, and followed his plan for their lives.
Okay.
That's a message that I can get with all day. Get with God, let him talk to you, do what he says for you. And the people who filled the churches up every week were the Pharisees and Sadducees for the most part. They're not the good people in the Bible.
Right.
So why does our community push us to do what the bad people? I mean, these are people who are studying the Bible, and are saying, "But no, you got to come to church." And they don't want you to do what Abraham and Daniel and Joseph and even Jesus, all these people were doing. They don't want you to be out there living a life of servitude to God or what he wants you to do. They want you to be part of the crew. And so I'm stuck. How does that relate? Because it doesn't seem like the powers that be are following the same religion that they inflicted upon us. You know, I don't see a lot of turning the other cheek when it comes to their things. You know what I'm saying? I see that for us.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us? Is that something else you think is continuing to help, you know, just hold us back and keep, especially our men? Because I don't see a bunch of men in church at all compared to the amount of women that are there. Yeah. So how do you think that all plays in?
I think, you know, I love John Henry Clark, right? The historian.
Okay.
And one thing, how he described religion, because what we're doing is we're trying to say, okay, religious institutions, you know, sort of want you to do things this way. Right. Why can't you pick up the holy book and, you know, just sort of journey off with you and God alone?
Right.
Okay. Why do they want that and not just let you loose?
Right.
To be free to have your own journey.
Right.
Which will be way more authentic. You'll be hearing from God. You'd probably be a better person anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? All these things. Well, I think to me, what I think about is what is religion for?
Okay.
Even these religious books that, are the manuals for each religion, right?
Right.
The Torah for Judaism, the Bible for Christianity, the Quran for Islam, the Bhagavad Gita for, Hinduism. John Henry Clarke, he made a point. He says that human beings, when they begin to become and assimilate into civilizations, when they begin to amass such great numbers and wealth and agriculture and this and that they begin to codify behaviors, codify culture.
Okay.
And those aspects of their culture that they deem to be, I guess, let's say, most important, whatever it is, becomes the facets of religion, the tenets, part of the principles of religion. So it's really deified culture that becomes the basis of religion, the basis of many religions, no matter how small or big.
Right.
Okay. Now we dealing with the biggest ones, right? So they have a whole corpus of histories and books and all this other stuff like that. But really, what we're looking at when we look at the Jewish Torah and all of that, we're looking at the codification of culture. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at all of it, really, so it's hard for me now to tell a person who's looking at the Bible that way,
right,
for complete and individual, help and guidance and all of that. You might not even find it there like that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because the emphasis really, if you want to go from a literary perspective, it was from that writer to a specific group of people. And many of them never really had thousands of people later on in mind. You know what I'm saying? So, so true indeed.
Sounds like our Constitution and everything. I mean, same.
Sure thing. Exactly. Sure thing. Right. They codified, according to John Henry Clarke. I like the interpretation.
Right.
It's codified culture. So you look at the Jews, you look at the Levitical priesthood and stuff like that. A lot of that was created for distinction purposes.
No.
The Canaanites were doing the same things.
Right.
You look at Canaanite temples, you look at Egyptian temples and sanctuaries. They're doing the same thing. It's a slight little tweak to make themselves a little different. You know what I mean? It's like becoming the latest R&B group when R&B is you're in the R&B era.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got the Temptations, you got the Soul Sonics, and then you come out and you're the Platinums. Okay, well, you're a little different. Your name is different, but what you do, what you wear, how you perform, how you do what you do, all follows a script that the Muslims do, that this do. So yeah, I think that one needs to take that in consideration when they open up these holy books.
Right.
That you're steeping yourself up into culture.
Right.
Okay. Right. A lot of it's been deified. You know what I'm saying? Been given a little pepper. Sprinkled with a little bit of divinity and supernatural healing.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna hurt nobody though. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna hurt nobody. Your mother told you, fairy tales growing up, it ain't kill you. Right. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't go about believing them in too much either. So, I think what I do as a chaplain, when I go into a room, I can't go in there talking about God, especially in New York City.
Okay.
Bro. You get so many lawsuits, you think about this society, how sensitive people are,
right,
to language and to labels and to this and to that and to being offended.
Right.
You go up in a New York City hospital room as the chaplain talking about, I'm here to give you the love of Jesus.
Yeah.
Boy, you better not.
Right.
You better. Sometimes you can't even walk in the room talking about I come to bring God.
Right.
No, none of that. You know what I'm saying? I am coming in to read the human being as a human document.
Right. Like
pages. They don't know I'm doing it.
Right.
But I'm reading certain pages and chapters as they speak to me. And what am I trying to do? I am trying to listen. So let's say I meet in the room with a Catholic. Brian's Catholic, or Brian's Jewish, or Brian is a former Seventh-day Adventist, or whatever he is. You may give me your label, but what type of Catholic is he really?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's bad grades.
Very good question, because it runs the gamut. Yeah.
It runs the gamut. You an Adventist? You conservative? Or you liberal? That's a big difference. You know what I'm saying? So I can't use the labels. The labels don't help me.
Right.
The cliches and the traditions that people give me don't help me, because everybody gonna throw all of that. Then when I finally get to how they feel,
right,
that's when you get to the core of people's spirituality. When they tell you how they feel about whatever they think God is doing, or whoever God is to them, or what they heard, they have to assimilate that into their real experience.
Right.
So God is angry. He's a tyrant. He's frustrated. How does that play out now? You have a knee surgery. You up in the hospital. Is it a punishment from God? You see what I'm saying? So people's definition, I have to get their real-time definition of who they think God is, right? Because people put it together from their parents, their church, their pastor, a pamphlet they saw, a Simpsons episode. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that.
And just their life, just what happens.
Yeah.
I think for the guys, it's a little worse for fellas, because most of us are already put in, especially Black guys, we're already put in this thing of, you know, you have to have this certain amount of toughness to be a real man, and you have to be independent to be a real man, you know. And so we're already fighting against everything, but then we have to accept something, you know, and you have to believe in something. So
yeah, right.
And all the things that you just spoke about, you're right. I mean, where do you find your place? And like you said, if there's so many different parts, like you can be liberal to conservative, and there's a lot of room in the middle. What do? I mean, for me, I look at people by what they eat when they telling me about their religion, for real. Because if you're a Muslim and you're eating pork, then I'm like, you're a liberal Muslim.
Right, yeah, you're something else.
You're drinking alcohol or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because when I was in Kuwait, you know, it was a Muslim country. Those are the kind of ways I was looking at people like, okay, so I'm looking at what you're doing and I'm hearing what you're saying. Are you really in this? You know, if you're, you know, a Christian and you're doing certain things, or you're Adventist, or you're this, you know, whatever it is, what are you doing that follows the rules that you've signed up for? Because when people get upset about the rules of their denomination, what I tell them all the time is, oh, well, get out. And they're like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Get out. You don't agree with that. Get out. Do something else. No, I can't do that. No, why not? Because you can't really say that you're one of these people if you're not doing what this group is supposed to do. That's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? Anything that I get membership in, if I get membership in an elite club right now, and they say, well, you have to dress this way and you have to carry yourself this way, you have to do this, then I have to do that. And people will say, if you're not going to do that, you need to leave. That's just what it is. And so I'm shocked that religion is the only place where that doesn't happen. I know people who are Catholic who go to church on Easter every year.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so what you're saying is there's a big space where people can seem to just assimilate inside and say, yes, I'm this, but I don't do that. Yeah, I'm not down with the dietary laws, or I don't really go to church, but I consider myself.
To me, those are like really poor adherence to their religious duties, their religious, you know, sort of faith. What I've come to, I guess, my own little personal definition of spirituality is really, it's weird working as a spiritual person in a hospital,
right,
in a clinic where the needs are physical.
Okay.
Like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people can gauge pain, they get medicine.
Right.
They got an ailment, they get fixed. A bone broken, they get mended.
Right.
A sickness, an ailment, they, you know. But for chaplains, what am I doing? We do an assessment, though. We do an assessment.
Right.
We do, you know what we do? We do an emotional assessment.
Okay.
What we do as chaplains, clinical chaplains, is all emotional work. We're studying emotions. Not psychology, not like psychologists. It's more of like the uses of their words, the uses of their feeling words. We try to bring out words that they use to describe how they feel. I mean, unbeknownst to them, they don't know that they undergone all of this. And it is through the picture that they paint of their emotional makeup, especially how they feel about God, that becomes for us their spirituality. That's how I can see their spirituality. Like it's like air. It's like somebody trying to describe something to me invisible.
Right.
But if they do it in healthy terms, if they use enough language that is authentic enough, you see what I'm saying, that describes how they feel about this, right? Like they may believe God is harsh.
Okay.
God is mean. So because they stole a candy bar, God broke my leg.
Right.
That's why I got a broken leg up in this hospital, because I shouldn't have stole, yo. Right? So I listen to that and I'm like, wow. So God broke your leg because you stole. That's something else. I don't challenge their ideas.
Right.
I don't say that your God wouldn't do that. God don't make no sense.
Right.
I think differently. I stay with them with their God.
And that's important. Definitely.
I stay with them with their God, but I make honest observations.
Right.
I just be like, well, I'm walking with you. I'll be like, but I'd be angry if I were you. Like I'd feel like, God, that's not fair. Like, you know, a candy bar for my leg.
Right,
you know,
right.
And then I throw real human questions at the belief system.
Right.
So it's like real humanity. I'm real humanity.
Right.
Coming into this room with you and God, and I'm trying to see how all of humanity would respond to what they're seeing. Like, I think I'd be scared. I think I'd be fearful. I think I feel alone. I think I'd feel kind of like God's like angry with me. I don't know about you. And I tell them, I don't know about you. And then some of them will start leaking out like, yeah, well, I do think that God is a little harsh. They do. Yeah. So here's how you really feel though.
Right.
You see?
That changes everything. I mean, there's a lot. I think that, okay, so in our community, a lot of us, and I found this from way back to now, are experiencing physical pain because of emotional problems. Okay, all of us, a lot of us, things that maybe happened in our childhood, mostly happened in our childhood, ways we were raised, or maybe that one incident of a beating that maybe went too far, or some abuse, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are holding on, in Southern families, it's Black families, period. You got a lot of secrets of stuff that don't come out till somebody dies, stuff. It creates, people hold that in and they get physical ailments from that. How much worse is it when that person's problem is with God? That they can never sort of, because if I have a problem with my mom and she's alive, I can sort of finally go talk to her.
Yeah.
And break it down. But if it's of this God that I think is just constantly mad and not gonna talk to me, you're actually giving people something in the clinical arena that's needed out here in the whole world, because you have a target audience. You know what I'm saying? These people are there. Do you think that this kind of talking and approach and reasoning would help our community if we could get it out here to just everyday people?
I think what I would like to see, I guess, in the Black church at large is a more thirst and desire to understand more of why they believe, what they know. I don't want to change. I don't want to change Black Christians into non-Black Christians, right? That's not my goal. Right. But I do think that how we've been treated and how we've been perceived, was from the foundations of how people read the Bible. I don't care what you say. You understand? When they came to get you in 1692, you know what I'm saying? When they were sailing over here in the 1700s and all of that, okay, they had worked the Bible. They had tried to understand the Bible in such a way, and they accomplished it. That the brutality that they were handing to you, you have to understand this. They thought that they were doing the right thing. This is how they could brutalize kids and women and and throw you. Listen, look, it comes from a false premise, a false understanding of them being a promised people, and Africans in particular being a people that are destined to be servants.
Right.
You see, so and you know, and it's recorded. It's recorded in their history. It's recorded in their manifest destiny. It's recorded in their language, how they looked at this as a type of Canaan, how they looked at themselves as a type of people of God, how they looked at us as a type of Canaanites. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, even though many of us today are divorced from a lot of that conversation,
right,
how we got here today is part and parcel. I'm interested in the spiritual answers as to how white people did what they did. As a chaplain, see, this is what I do with patients today. Right. I want to know, what was your spiritual feeling while you did what you did? How did you, what did your spiritual resources say to you while you went into New Guinea and Togo? And you know what I'm saying? And you kidnapped women when they were begging to be free and they're bleeding and crying.
Right.
What is happening in your spiritual psyche that allows you to do that without saying, oh my gosh,
right,
I'm being horrible.
Right, exactly.
You need, let me tell you something now. You need a divine order.
Right.
You need such an unction.
Right.
From something bigger than you to make you feel okay doing that. That's spirituality. You see what I'm saying? And it's something small. When a nigga gets the permission that God told him to do that.
Right. 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 And I mean, that's the thing. It's so weird that I think for us, I've never heard any African American people profess as a group that God told them to do something inherently evil. I haven't, and I'm not saying that it hasn't happened. I just haven't heard about it. I don't know anything about that. But I've seen the wars that Christianity has perpetuated on the world. I see the racism. I see the slavery. I see the Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? I see all of these different things that were sort of pushed by the church. Like, this is what you do. You're going to exterminate these people, or we're going to use them for this, or we're going to do this and another. And it seems to be okay. And the craziest part for me is that our people have been indoctrinated so much that we will still be a part of whatever it is. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't, like you said, I'm not trying to run everybody away from their faith, but I feel like we need to change this name and be something else. You know, even if it's the same belief system, because these people, I mean, okay, let's just think about it like this. There was a time when Puritans would burn witches at the stake. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I've heard a lot of the stories. I've read about a lot of stories. And, you know, if you were sick and you had some disease that everybody was dying from, and somebody came and gave you a cure and you got better, then that person was probably a witch. Now, they would burn them at the stake, and if they escaped, they were a witch. I haven't ever heard of any of them escaping. So that means that none of them were witches. That's what bothers me about the story every time. Nobody ever escaped. So that means, and they say, well, they didn't escape because they didn't want us to know there was a witch. Brother, if he's a witch or she's a witch, they can take care of you. They're not worried about you. They're good. But the other part is, we've been so indoctrinated that we were more fearful of the witches than we were of the people burning them at the stake.
Right.
And that's the evil.
That's the sadistic.
But the way the story is being told makes us say, that's right, man, kill those witches. Just like when we watch movies now, and I think this is what I think is one of the things for me that is killing our community, is how we're being indoctrinated and don't know it. We say we stand for love and marriage and fidelity and monogamy, but yet we will watch movies where we will cheer for the guy to cheat on his wife, cheer for the woman to get, oh, but she loves him. Dude, she's married. You know, but the movie is written in a way that this is the hero, this is the heroine, and they got to get together no matter what it does to people's families.
Right.
Whatever it is. And so I feel like that's one thing that we have got to get together in our community, is noticing when somebody is pulling you into something that you say you don't believe in. Because I guarantee you, there's not one person that I know who hasn't cheered for something they don't believe in a movie because of the way it was written.
True. You know, and you talk, I think that's, you know, that's powerful. You talk about us controlling our self-image.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. You know, we've, in terms of mass media and sending out images of who we are and what we are, like, it's only been what? Television, really television, newspapers.
Right.
I think television more so around the world, these caricatures of us. And I think that America realizes that. It's been changing the image, but I wanted to get back to something we were saying before. I think that Black men in particular need to meditate.
Oh.
Okay. That's what I'm on. You know, so here's, you know, so I think that there are inherent dangers in, you know, believing in the Christian story without research. I do think that there's inherent dangers in believing in the Christian story the way it's been handed to you traditionally, because it directly truncates your African history. That's me.
Right.
You cannot happily have both if you are fully believing in both. You cannot have it. So there's a reckoning that needs to happen with Black history and their faith. I'm not saying give up the Bible. I think that the Bible is inspired by a lot of African events and all of that type of stuff. So it is a resource, you know, for, you know, men of African heritage and stuff like that, you know. But I do think that Black men need to meditate. And what do you do in meditation? One, you need to affirm yourself.
Right.
Affirmations. I know it sounds like the chick stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But that's missing. That's what's missing. So I mean,
yeah, please. I'm telling you, I came to such a critical point, man. You talk about physical sicknesses. I had shingles. I developed shingles while I was a pastor because I was so depressed, bro. I was so depressed in ministry. You know what I mean? Then, you know, I developed diverticulitis. So I'm just talking about emotional, mental stress playing out in the physical.
Right.
I'm a skinny guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, it's not that skinny people don't go through. So I'm just saying, like, I had two serious, like, things go on that wasn't triggered by necessarily eating. You know what I'm saying? It was by the stress. It was by how, not only the stress, but then my soul self-identity in the midst of all of that. If that's like really like out of whack.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then it didn't, you know, it just makes for a tragic thing. And then Black men just get older and our responsibilities get, you know, stacked. We have kids, you know, we have a wife or, you know, a woman in our lives who have had our children. You know, and so it's just it just antes up. The pressure goes up, but the mechanism for how to deal with it has decreased.
So and well, okay, so let's talk about this meditation thing. Now I've said this as well. I'm glad that you said that because I agree with that totally. I know that in the Christian church, meditation is a no-no. And I said to somebody, and this is while I was very heavily into the church, that you teach us that the devil takes bad things and makes them look good, so we'll want to do them. And they're like, yeah. I said, but I don't think that's his biggest game plan. I think he also takes good things and makes them look bad, so we don't do those.
True.
And that's where all of us are messing up, because you got stuff like meditation where I would actually become in touch with myself and God, connecting finally mental, spiritual, and physical, which is what's supposed to happen. What you're telling me is going to happen. It's one of the emblems in the church.
Yeah,
all those three things, but you're not showing us how to tie it together, and nobody knows. So if I'm tying these three things together, I should be able to say, I have this condition, and I'm meditating on it, and I can heal myself to a certain point. Not from maybe the big cancer,
big stuff, right?
But initial things that you can start to set your body back on the right course, or you know when it's time to eat, that there are certain things your body needs. So that's what you eat. Not I eat because it's a meal time, you know, and I'm thinking this is the way people probably ate in the beginning. I don't think that people just said, oh, it's time for dinner. eat some broccoli, and it's another thing. No, I need some iron, so I'm gonna eat this. It has iron in it. I need, whatever it is. And I think that meditation is made a no-no because you don't want people to get in touch with themselves. You don't want them to get in touch with God and actually be filled with God. Because when people say, when we were young, and guys would come up to us like, yo, the black man, and this and all the 5% brothers out on the street in New York, I was like, man, get out of here with that garbage, But then when I started looking at the Bible some more, it was telling me I was supposed to embody God. So why am I not God? Because like I always tell people, like DMC said, if only what did he say? Only God can be a king to me, but if the God be in me, then the king I be. Yes, that's it. I mean, if he's supposed to be in you, then he's you and you're him. And that is the level that people are striving to, but they don't have the mechanisms to get there because they've outlawed them. And I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand how that's going.
I saw this clip the other day. They put a mirror in the middle of the jungle, a gigantic mirror, and they just put a camera there and they watched different wild animals that walked up to this mirror, how they would react to their reflection.
Oh, wow.
They had a gorilla, they had a jaguar, they had...
And these aren't zoo animals. These are wild animals.
Wild animals. They put it in the middle of the forest, jungle joint, sat it there with a couple of like motion sense cameras. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then whenever the motion sensors went off, they would film, and then they would film the reaction of the animal.
Wow.
Animals who never probably saw their reflection.
Right.
And so you're laughing and stuff because the jaguar is like trying to fight himself, and solitary animals, they try to fight themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, hell no, what is this? You in my territory.
Right.
And they scratch at the glass and going crazy. But then not all animals did that. Some animals looked and they recognized that this image was doing the same thing they was doing.
Right.
So they stopped fighting. And then the clip turned, and a scientist was talking, narrator, and they were saying that they're starting to judge animal IQ by which animals can recognize themselves. They were saying that they're gauging intelligence by which animals can, in this instance, get past the fact that, whatever they're looking at is not necessarily another animal, and it may be them. Okay. Wow. And I think, of course, like the primates and, some of the monkeys and stuff like that began to sort of interact with the image, knowing that it wasn't something else, but it was them.
Right.
Now, let me relate this to ourselves. When you meditate, right, you are, in essence, putting that mirror up before your inner self. And your inner self, to you, might be like a wild animal. Something you never really contacted, you never got in touch with. It's running wild on the inside of you, wild on the inside of you. And you only feel it when you trigger it off. You make him mad, upset. He starts crying at certain things, barking, growling, tearing stuff up, leaving fecal matter places, tearing up, literally. You know what I'm saying? You got a wild thing in you. And just like the book, The Call of the Wild, that wild thing needs to somehow, be tamed. And I think that, black men, we have a restless spirit. And I'm not going to just say black men, black people, but, black men, we have a restless spirit in some regards.
Right.
We're just in between a whole lot of things. Like, we're in between hip hop and trying to be, what is manhood? Like, I mean, hip hop offers versions of manhood, but what does that look like? I don't know. It's just hard. It's just hard. How does it work
in the world that you're in? Right. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of images of a lot of black men because we just come out of the dirt.
Right.
Like, think about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just come out of shining shoes and stuff. Right. Like, the majority of us. I'm talking about, so there's this evolution of us coming out of. So we are looking with new eyes. And I think that, many of us, if I'm going to keep it a buck, we want to be white men. We don't know it, though. We just want to be the newest white men. It's fun to be a white male in America. You don't realize it. You don't realize it. But to have that money, power, a little misogyny, you know what I'm saying? A little, people under you, that capitalism is a spirit that is strong. When you got people under you,
right.
Look at what rappers do when they get money. They show everybody, and they know you don't got it. And they only flaunt it to the people who don't got it because they get praise.
Right.
Because they get that energy. It's the energy of praise. Forget the money. It's the fame. So what I'm saying is that we've been trying to look at mirrors that are way far from us. Set the mirror up in your soul. And then when you meditate, do this. Breathe. Start your deep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth.
Right.
And you're going to find that regular air, when you do deep breathing, becomes weed. You get high. Right. Once you start deep breathing, your brain goes to a different level. Like, oh, wait, hold on. What we doing? We getting the double dose. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, you know, if you can set yourself, you know, you sit in a comfortable position, upright. You start deep breathing for about 5 minutes, and then go into some affirmation. Start talking good to yourself. The world has cursed you. You know what I'm saying? People don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Or you're hearing, or there's misnomers about the world not liking you. So even if people in Dubai don't, even if they love you, people told you they hate you. You know, so we feel hated.
Right.
Sometimes the feeling of the perception is worse than what it is, and yes,
exactly.
So the affirmation
is your reality all the time, dude. That's
exactly. You got to affirm yourself. You got to stop the negative self-talk. To me, that's sin.
Right.
I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I don't get nothing right. You know, I'll always be making mistakes. Hey, bro, you know I'm always late, bro. Hey, bro, you know I'm dumb, bro. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not. You know, we don't, that negative self-talk, we don't do that no more. We cut that out. We fill ourselves with affirmations, with good words. You know what I'm saying? I'm full of peace and tranquility. I'm happy. I'm just so satisfied with my life, my children. I'm proud of myself as a parent. You know what I mean? I get along with myself and others. You know what I'm saying? You throw out those every day, even if they're not true.
Right. Well, because you're working towards something.
Sure.
And I mean, I think that what has happened is we've been given pieces of those things, but not the full Monty. So where people are now doing positive affirmations, it's like, yeah, but you're not doing it with the power that goes along with it.
Yeah.
You're just doing it, you're just saying this stuff. And I mean, saying it obviously doesn't work if you're not using the power that you're supposed to use, you know, to access that. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell this little testimony about meditation, right? So, you know, I have been reading about meditation for about a year. Neville Goddard, all these big wigs,
right?
You know, but I didn't apply it. I just knew it all, right? You know, that's the problem with some of us. We're so academic. You know what I mean? So I knew all this stuff academically, but I didn't practice it.
Right.
Anyway, I was going through a crisis in life. The wife was leaving, going through a big separation physically.
Okay.
She was moving out of state. Kids were moving. I was like really devastated. Like really, really. And it was a slow, you know, we talked about it. So as this time came for them to journey on, it was a slow death for me, you know what I'm saying? Because it didn't happen quick. You know, it was proper planning. And then you know, so those 2 months leading up to that was like killing me on the inside. Every single day, every hour of the day, all I could see was them leaving. So I wasn't, you know, my little few times with them was more sad than happy because it's a long goodbye, and it was a torturous goodbye at that. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I just found myself, you know, slipping into some real serious sadness and depression because I couldn't carry the weight of that. And it became like really unbearable. You know, I was crying, trying to go to sleep and all of that. I don't know if Black men experience that. You know, they have so much baby mama drama, but I think I got a little flavor if they do. But anyway, and it ain't no joke, boy. You know, so, you know, I got up like one day, like at 3 a.m. I was so sad, so like walking around looking sad too. My clothes look sad. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything. I was walking around New York City looking bad. You know what I'm saying? Sad and bad. You know what I mean? And if I had a beard, it was growing everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have one, so it didn't do that. But it would have.
Right.
And so I got up and I started meditating hard because I was like, this stuff got to be true. And I threw out these affirmations. I said, I successfully accomplished all of the tasks I set for myself. I was unemployed. I was broke. And my family was journeying on, like no money. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to like sort of rebuild my life. And I didn't know where to start. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you go beg for the wife and kids back? What do you, such major life areas when you're having crisis in all of these major life areas? What in the world do you do? You know what I'm saying? Kids, job, health.
Right.
These are major areas, bro, you know? And so I was just so sad. And when I started meditating, I said, I successfully accomplished all of the tasks I set for myself. I imagined myself being on a job, writing out a to-do list, accomplishing my to-do list, leaving work happy, fulfilled. Every man loves that. Every man just loves the feeling of knowing he got a job. You know, he got away, but he do his job. He go home. He do it right. You know, it's a really good feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's an honorable feeling, whatever. So I imagine in my mind me driving down the FDR in New York in my work clothes, listening to Hot 97. This is what I do. This is what I do in meditation. I go into imagination land. I create a movie of myself in whatever desirable situation I want to be in.
Okay.
I saw myself driving to and from work. That's all I saw. I didn't see where I was working. None of that. I'm creating a vision of myself. I'm not like, it's not coming to me. I'm imagining. I'm doing make-believe. And this is what I do. I put on a nice shirt, a tie. I'm driving in my car. I got Hot 97 on because that's what I would normally do if I'm coming and going to and from work. I'm going to put on the Breakfast Club, or I'm going to put that joint on in the afternoon. I'm going to listen to it as I'm coming from work. Sure enough. And the fact that I'm happy and smiling lets me know that I like my job, because if I didn't, I'd be frowning, tired and upset. So the implication was that I had a job. The implication was that I was happy at my job. The implication was that I commute to my job every day. I came out of my meditation trying to feel as confident, as excited, as hopeful that I had it. 2 hours later, after I dropped my kids off after school, I got a call from my father. He's like, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm driving." He said, "You need to come down to my job now." He worked for a mid-level construction management company.
Okay.
And yeah, he said, "You have a job interview." That's what you're talking about. He said, "Yo, somebody just left his position, whatever, and they heard I was saying something about you and you're unemployed right now." And they said, "Have him come down. Does he have a college degree?" He says, "He has a master's." They're like, "Tell him to come down." So I came. It's an Italian-run company, you know, so he butterfly collar open and all of that. This is construction. Break a few legs. Anyway, you're up. So anyway, I drive out there. I go into the VP for marketing's office. She interviews me. And within 10 minutes, the owner walks in. He's like, "Oh, this is the new guy." He's like, "He's hired." He walked in, said he's hired without asking questions. Sat down, shook my hand. I went to the next office. He was like, "All right, have him fill out the paperwork." He says, "Can you start today?" I said, "Tomorrow?" He said, "Today." I didn't get what he was saying. He's like, "Can you start today?" I said, "Tomorrow." He's like, "Today?" I was like, "I think I can start tomorrow." He's like, "Today?" And I was like, "Today?" I was like, "Yeah, today. So I'm signing all my paperwork, and he's like, "All right, let me take you to the area we're going to work." By the time I get there, listen to me, they got my name tag already made, like a metal plate, Donald J. Rolle, already slid in the joint. My computer all is waiting for me. So I'm working in the estimating department of a construction management firm. I don't know nothing about construction, never been in the estimating department. I don't mess with blueprints, do none of that. But I'm working with the estimators. And so all of these guys are trying to acquaint me with the job and everything I need to do. Man, I got to write so much stuff down. And because the business is booming, we're competing against other companies. Like I have stuff to literally do. Like my job has begun. Yo, and I don't know the terms and stuff. So I get like a little pen and pad down. I start writing down all these little tasks and stuff I got to do and stuff, to check it off and all of that. And by the time 5 o'clock came, I looked at that little list and I had checked off all of these boxes.
Wow.
My task list. But check it out. What was my affirmation that morning? I successfully accomplished all the tasks I set for myself. And bro, by the end of the day, I had a full-blown job, paying full, good salary. I'm talking about insurance, everything. When I finally, listen, one time meditating, bro, one time. Do you hear me? So yo, I have to share it with black men. You don't gotta believe me. You ain't gotta do it.
Right.
I'll be wrong if I tell you, on one of my darkest days, bro.
Right.
It turned. So I got that job. Yo, I had that overnight. I came back. I had the dress clothes. I had to commute to work all the way to Long Island from Harlem. That's a long, So you know, now I'm so busy. Now my kids are seeing me go to work and all of that, you know, and you know, so it's a lot. The ball is rolling, and you know, and things began to just like fall in place.
Right.
My kid's in the other room right now. Let you know how things go. You see what I'm saying? You see? So, yo, I'm telling you, bro. Listen, man. Listen. When I was losing everything, I was praying. Put it like that. When I got everything back,
listen, listen, dude. I'm gonna tell you what. Now, this is my 10th or 11th episode, and we have a no, not a script, but you know, we have a way that we do things and we talk on the show, but never heard anything like this, dude. And I'm telling you, that's what I want. I want to make sure that I expose all the viewers to positive Black men that are doing something in their lives. And I don't think that people understand what it means to be a positive Black man, because for us, as soon as one of us has something that's derogatory, we can't be positive anymore. There's nothing positive about us. There's no there's nothing. It's no, you're this. You know what I'm saying? So Bill Cosby, no matter what he did great, all of that's gone now because of what he did, you know, to most people. I mean, I believe that what he did to women was horrible, but he did some great things, and I still think those are great things.
right?
And he could still do great things.
Indeed.
You know, anybody. There's nobody who can't. And so your story of redemption is great. I mean, and your testimony is great. I'm glad you shared that, because that's what people need to hear. I mean, and everything is not going to work for everybody, but the more of us who testify, some people will say, hey, I see something in him. I say, okay, I connect with Donald. Okay, I connect with Blind.
Yep.
You know? And that's how we need to come up. So I definitely feel like, dude, you've been inspirational as a spiritual leader. You have definitely, this has been better than any sermon you probably could have preached. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for real, because real life is what it's about for most of us. And that's why you don't see a lot of men in church, because these sermons and things might not really connect with their real lives. But when somebody talks about something that has to do with those tenets that we all have to have, working, family, responsibility, this, that, and the other, and you're telling me how to get back to it, or to at least concentrate, or to, you know, be focused, then that's what it's about. So, dude, I really appreciate you coming through, man. We will definitely stay in touch. We'll get in touch some more, man, because I think this is good stuff. And listen, man, you keep doing what you're doing. Keep meditating. You're going to have me sitting in the corner humming in a minute, dude. Just
no doubt. Thank you for having me on, yo.
No problem, man. We'll definitely get back to you, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Rolle. And look, I definitely appreciate it, man. So take it easy. We'll holler at you soon. All right, man. Hey, viewers. Wow, I had an amazing time. I'm sure you saw. See it on my face during the interview. I had a great time talking to Donald Rolle. Really think that we learned some stuff today. I mean, you know, there's a lot to be said. I know that people have their own belief systems and their own just different judgments and all of that. But I think that a lot came out of what we talked about today. I think that we got some good points. And if you took good points from them, then I'm glad for that. I definitely know that meditation is something that is big and positive. I don't know if everybody will have the same. In fact, I do know that everybody will not have the same results right away, right immediately, but it's not something that would hurt you to get in touch with your inner self, and to understand yourself, and to connect your God with your physical self and your mental self and all of that. So if you want to try meditation, hey, check it out, read about it, read up on it, and see what it can do for you. I mean, it's done wonders for a lot of people. So once again, thanks to Donald Rolle, and we will see you next week. Have a great one on purpose.